few students of a high school class were going through rough times, and so one day their teacher decided to take them on a ride of life. She asked the students to bring one empty jar the following week for an in-class activity. A week later, on the day of the activity, her students came with their empty jars and she came with 3 buckets. The first one was filled with stones, the second one with gravel, and the third one was filled with sand. She started the activity and asked her students to fill their jars with either sand, gravel, or stones. After the students were done filling their jars, she moved on to the second round of the activity and asked the students to fill up any open space in their jar with content from the 2 remaining buckets. Students with stones in their jars had a lot of open space, so they filled it up with gravel and sand. Students with gravel in their jar had a little extra space, so they filled it up with sand. And students with sand in their jars had no open space, so either they added few gravels on the top or stayed back in their seats. After the second round and students back in their seats, the teacher borrowed 3 jars from the student crowd. One with stones, one with gravel, and one with sand as the main content. She kept these jars on a table in front of the entire class and told the students that these jars represent our lives and these buckets represented different aspects of our lives. The stones represented the goals, thoughts, people, and relationships which are the most important aspect of our lives and make us who we are. The gravel represented other important things like a job, our house, the car, which are less important but certain essentials that we need. And sand represented other small and less important things that we occasionally go through in our lifetime. If we fill our jar of life with only these stones and leave everything out of it, it turns out we'll still have plenty of space for other important and unimportant things. But if we fill this very own jar of life with only the unimportant things represented by sand, we end up losing out on all the important things in our lives, leading us to misery. She kept on going and added that we all have 24 hours a day and 365 days a year. Knowing that we all are time bound, why are we filling our days with things with almost no significance to our lives? Knowing that we have the potential to achieve whatever we want to achieve, why don't we focus our energies on our goals, our families, and surround ourselves with people and things that will move us closer towards achieving them? She asked the students to write down their life goals, people who they admire, people who they loved, things that they wanted to do in life, the person they wanted to see in themselves in the next 30 years, people they saw as idol in their lives, followed by prioritizing them in the order of importance. She told that their jar of life is still almost empty, and that they have a choice to fill their jars with things they just wrote down. They have a choice to live the life they just wrote down. They have a choice to follow their dreams they just wrote down, that they have a choice. She left them at that for self-reflection and offered one-on-one consultation to everyone, especially the ones going through rough times. We all go through this in our lives every day. We somehow accidentally fill our days, followed by the week, then the month, and then the year with things that has nothing to do with our passion, our goals, and our very own life. Until one day we sit back and regret. If you're still breathing, there is still time. Empty this jar of life and consciously fill it with things that you really want in there. Prioritize your tasks and go for them as if your whole life depends on them. You'll see how everything else will automatically start to fade out from your life. You'll start to become more productive. You'll start to become more energetic, more focused, and more satisfied. You ask why? Because this is what you always wanted to achieve. This is what you always wanted deep down but somehow lost track, but now you again have a choice.